Now, the Prime Minister is struggling to claw back popularity among voters, with the latest Freshwater Strategy poll revealing that Peter Dutton is closing in on Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the coalition continues as the favourite in the two-party preferred vote, with a clear majority of voters saying that the country is headed in the wrong direction. Well, this is extraordinary, these results. It shows the momentum is in Peter Dutton's favour. To bring it down, let's bring in now the Director of Freshwater Strategy, the polling firm that did those figures, Leo Shanahan. And Leo joins me here now.
Thanks,
Leo,
Sharri.
thank you for your time. Look, what are the key issues that you're finding are behind this momentum that's giving Peter Dutton the support?
Look, it's that key issue of cost and standard of living, and we've been seeing that for a long time now. But the government is struggling to make up any ground. It's lost over 24 points on that very point in the last year. And its living costs, housing is another one, housing and cost of housing, managing the economy, a third, health and social care, and then crime and social order. But the interesting thing is when you look at those top 5 issues, the coalition is winning out of 4 of them. Now that will drive the vote towards the coalition. So as pollsters, you look to not just the pure numbers, but what are the issues? What are those issues driving those numbers? And in this case, the cost of standard of living, as we've talked about, housing accommodation. But it's interesting that crime and social order too is now in that top 5 list. And we can speak about Queensland, but it's obviously a major issue in that election as well.
I mean, so one of the biggest issues affecting voters, housing affordability, we know there's a crisis in Australia at the moment. You would have been in the field when the news broke that Albanese had bought a $4.3 million clifftop mansion.
Yeah.
How do you think this has impacted his perception among Australians?
Look, it's interesting because in the last, since our last poll in this month, in the October poll, we did have Peter Dutton coming within 1 point, as you said, on preferred Prime Minister. That has never happened before. It's 44 to 43 now. And that's the closest he's been on preferred Prime Minister. The 2PP hasn't changed a lot, but the coalition is still ahead, now reflecting in news poll as well. So the trend is very much in the wrong direction for the government. On this issue itself, look, people, 36% of voters say that their perception of him is worse as a result of this decision. A majority, 52%, say the purchase had no impact on their view of him. And a small percentage were actually quite in favour, must be those investors. But look, it should be said on this point, I mean, I don't think it's really fundamentally hurt the government or the Prime Minister personally, because if you break down those numbers... Well,
it has 36% of voters say they have a worse view of him.
Except
that
if
has
you look at those voters are voters that already had a negative perception of him among Greens voters and particularly among a hard line of coalition voters. So generally speaking, his personal decisions and his investments hasn't really hurt. It's those fundamental issues that is hurting the government.
We're seeing the Queensland election on Saturday. The polls had been showing that it would be a landslide win for David Crisafulli. We're now seeing that Labor appears to be closing the gap somewhat. Do you think the LNP will still be able to win a majority government?
Oh, well, look, I think it firstly should be said that it was never going to be easy for David Crisafulli. I mean, this is only the third time since 1989. Well, yes, but it's only the third time since 1989 they'd aimed for a majority government. And you see the dominance of the Labor Party in Queensland. Now, he needs those 12 seats. He should get them. But the assumption that this is going to be a lay-down misère, I think, is a little misguided. Look, I think they'll win, but it won't be as easy as many people think. I think those key issues, though, of crime, where David Crisafulli and the LNP have campaigned very well, and it just shows up it's showing up in the numbers now nationally. We saw last night in the Sky News debate in Queensland, 1 in 10 of those audience members were affected by crime. And I think that has shown to be the key issue. I think this abortion issue was a bit of a distraction. Labor made some ground on it, but since the Katter parties have effectively ceded on that point, I don't think it's really going to be as damaging. So, look, I think you'll get David Crisafulli as Premier. come Saturday night, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as many people say, and it's never going to be easy in Queensland because of the way Queensland is structured between the city, the southeast Queensland, the suburban sprawl and the regions.
Yep. All right, Leah Shanahan, really appreciate your time. That was fascinating. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharri.